Today we are going to start with the topic which is of use to students who are preparing for UGC-NET as well as for all teaching aptitude test and B.Ed students. And even if you are not preparing for any examination and you want to teach students well in the classroom, or being parents you want to teach your children well at home, then also you need to know that at what level the teaching should be focused. So as far as teaching is concerned, we have studied about different definitions of teaching, but all the definitions they seems to converge at some basic points regarding objectives of teaching. So main objective of teaching is that we want some desirable change in the behavior, and for that we plan out some activities so that that desired change is seen in the learner's behavior and the learner is able to gain some knowledge, he is able to adjust with the society, and all this converge into one common objective, that is we want to develop his personality. So as far as objective of teaching is concerned, we may say that objectives they depend upon the age of the learner, the learning conditions, the capabilities of teacher, and also the content which we are going to teach him. I may mention only these four objectives, but you may find some additional objectives depending upon the content which you might be teaching. To name one of the objectives is that you want desired change in behavior. You notice certain behavior in the learner and you want to modulate it, enhance it, or you want to minimize the occurrence of that behavior. And for that you need to teach him. Second objective may be that you want to provide him some knowledge. Knowledge, it is related to the cognitive development of the child. You want him to know certain facts, certain rules, certain terminology, certain concept which are required to further his education. And a lot of work has been already done which the learner needs to know, so that as he grows up he can take the benefit of knowledge which is already present. For that we have to make him aware of that knowledge through our teaching or through instruction, which is usually called as instructions. The main motive of providing knowledge is that he should know what knowledge is already existing, and he should be able to understand or grasp the real meaning of that knowledge. And ultimately we want to make him proficient so that he can add to the corpus of knowledge. So that means that he can, as he grows up, he can contribute to the knowledge by adding something to it or adding some new knowledge to what is already existing. Another objective which is very important, of course, that is adjustment. Now adjustment we can take at two levels: adjustment with self and adjustment with society. We want that the learner, he should be able to adjust with his own self, that is he must realize what are his capabilities, what are his or her interests, what he wants to do. So that means he can understand his inner urge, and we want him to get adjusted with the society also. So this adjustment is more towards social learning, social adjustment, as well as adjustment with one's own self. Now, this is also very important because to keep the society together, social adjustment is very important. Another and overall objective of learning is that we want to make him develop. Development, it may be related to his own capabilities. It may be related to his own need to know more, to grow more, to be better adjusted with the society, and he should be always learning more and more so that he can keep on developing. Or in very simple words, we can say that we want to develop his personality. Now, personality itself is a very comprehensive term. When we talk of personality, we are talking about his emotional well-being, social well-being, intellectual well-being, physical well-being. So, all these terms, they converge into personality. These are four basic or main objectives because of which we take up the activity of teaching. And for achieving these objectives, we select certain content so that we can achieve these objectives through some activities. So, content may be defined as set of activities which we design or select according to the need of the learner, according to the capabilities of teacher, and according to the objective which we want to achieve. So that means content or the set of activities, they will be depending upon need of student, capacity or capability of teacher, and the objectives which we want to achieve. Now, when we have selected this content, then there should be some way of passing on this information or knowledge or this content to the learner. And depending upon the content and depending upon all these things, we select the methods. So that means methods of teaching, they will be further dependent upon the learner, the capacity of the teacher, objective, and the content which we have selected. Now, as we are going through this, we can very well understand that needs of the learner, they may be changing as per the age of the learner, the background of the learner, or the previous experiences which the learner has taken. We must remember that learner cannot be considered as an empty vessel. He has certain set of experiences which he has gained prior to the teaching which we have designed for a particular objective. And content and the methods of teaching, they will be dependent upon the need of the learner. So, as far as need of the learner is concerned, we may say that it is dependent upon his age, it may be dependent upon his background and his previous experiences. Similarly, capacity of the teacher, that also may vary. It may depend upon the experience of the teacher, teacher's own personality, teacher's knowledge which he or she must have gained, which can be transferred to the learner. And as we study different types of learners, we find that at times teacher has to take the back seat. Teacher is no longer the person who is directing the learner towards a certain learning activity. Rather, he becomes a facilitator where the learner selects the goal and teacher helps him in achieving the goals. So that way, the teaching method, it may shift from teacher oriented method to learner oriented method. Similarly, the objectives which we are going to achieve, that also will be controlling the content which we are going to select. The content, it may be complex, and at times it may be novel to the learner. So if the objective and the content which we have selected, that is complex or that is very new to the learner, then the method of teaching which we are going to use, that will be different. As a mature member of society, we all can understand that depending upon all these qualities, that is deciding the ability of the learner and capacity of the teacher and the content which we have selected. We cannot have only one mode of teaching. At different age levels, at different capacity level of the learner as well as the teacher, the way we are going to teach the learner, that is going to be different. This is basically called as levels of teaching. So when we say that we want to gain knowledge about levels of teaching, then actually what we are going to study in this topic is that if we want to make teaching learning a gainful activity, then how we should select the content, how we should select the objectives, how we should select the activities, and what method we should use depending upon the need of the learner. Because in the teaching learning process, the learner or the student, he takes the central position, and all the learning activity, that is arranged around learner, so that the objective of teaching is achieved. Now, as the level of student will change, similarly the level of teaching should change. We must remember that in education we take teaching as same to learning, because we know that if there is some teaching, then there must be some learning, or in other words we can say that if there is no learning, that means no teaching has taken place. At different levels that we will be studying in this topic, we will learn that at different levels role of teacher will be different, and we will see that at times teacher is instructor, and he may shift to being a facilitator as age and ability of the learner advances. Similarly, learner also changes as per the different levels of teaching. At some levels of teaching, we will find that learner is just passive receiver, and at the higher level of teaching we see that he becomes an active participant. Similarly, we'll see that methods of teaching, they will shift from pedagogy to andragogy. That means that the methods which we are going to select for the young children, they will be different from the methods of teaching that we are going to select for the adult learner. Teaching methods for adults is called as andragogy, and teaching methods for young children, they are called as pedagogy. So as we advance from one level to other level, we will see that methods of teaching also change. We also know that motivation plays a very important role in teaching. And as we will go from one level to higher level, we will see that in initial levels, the motivation is extrinsic, and at the higher level it becomes more of intrinsic. Intrinsic means when the motivation is from inside, the learner himself feels motivated to learn, whereas extrinsic means when the motivation is from outside, the teacher or the environment has to be motivating so that the learner can learn. Similarly, you'll see that content, that will also change from just information gathering to comprehension and to problem solving. So what we see that depending upon the objective, we decide the content. Depending upon the content, we select the methods of teaching. And because all these needs, they are changing as per the age, background, previous knowledge, ability, motivation, content, the novelty and complexity of the content, and the capability of teacher. Teaching has to be at different levels, or to suit the teaching to the learner, teaching has to be done at different levels, and these levels, they are forming a continuum in reference to role of teacher, learner, method of teaching, motivation, content, and maybe some more points which we will study as we will study the levels of teaching. So according to this, what we have learned, that for different age levels, there have to be different levels of teaching. For different age levels, there have to be different content. And for different age levels, there has to be different types of personalities of teacher which is required so that teaching can happen at maximum efficiency and it can provide the best possible result, which will be shown in the form of change in the behavior of the learner, or in advancement of knowledge, or it will be enabling the learner to adjust with the society and self, and overall it will be developing the personality of the child. Now, for this, we must remember that teaching has taken guidance from many different fields of society, many different forms of knowledge, and there are many different theories which are lending their wisdom to the teaching. For example, we know about theories of learning, theories of intelligence, theories of growth and development, theories of motivation, and maybe theories of anthropology or social development. Then we may be having in learning also, we may be having many different theories which are related to selection of content, that is development of curriculum. We may be having theories related to methods of teaching. We may be having theories which are related to how do we learn, or what are the basic processes through which the learner passes when he is learning certain things. So overall, you will be seeing, as we will be advancing through this course, you will see that there are numerous theories which have given us some understanding how to improve teaching or how to make learning the best. Now, as far as levels of teaching are concerned, our wisdom that we will be using for different levels of teaching, they are dependent upon three main categories, that is behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. So basically, learning theories, they have been divided as behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. All learning theories, they can be divided into these three categories. Behaviorism, it is basically dependent upon seeing change in the behavior, whereas cognitivism, it is basically those theories which are related to gaining knowledge. And behaviorism is observable behavior. And constructivism, that is basically related to how do we learn, or what is the role of teacher and what is the role of learner in the teaching learning process. So these are basically process oriented. So there may be many different theories which we'll be studying in the next few lessons, where we'll be studying levels of teaching. We will be talking about different theories which may be categorized as theories based on behaviorism, theories based on cognitivism, and theories based on constructivism. Similarly, intelligence or knowledge, that is also important. So we will see that many different theories which are related to development of intelligence, they also will be lending their wisdom to levels of teaching. Because at different levels of teaching, there will be different age levels or different growth and developmental level. So theories of growth and development, they will also be converging into levels of teaching. And we will be talking about many different psychologists and philosophies, theories, and those people who have worked a lot in the field of intelligence and growth and development. So we should be familiar with certain names of the persons who have given us some understanding of these concepts. For example, in behaviorism, we will be talking about Skinner, Pavlov, Watson, Thorndike. These are different psychologists who have given different theories based on behaviorism. In cognitivism, we will be talking about Bloom's taxonomy, then contribution of Jerome Bruner, who gave theory of discovery learning, and then we will be talking about Bandura, who gave social learning theory, Tolman, who gave sign gestalt theory of learning, and Ausubel, who has given theory of receptive learning, And all these theories, they help us understand how knowledge is gathered, how knowledge is consolidated, and how it is remembered, or how our mind develops to take up these different types of knowledge and how we can comprehend. And constructivism, we will be studying about two main theories, that is Piaget's theories and Vygotsky theory. Now, Piaget and Vygotsky, they are known for constructivism, and Piaget is basically known for cognitive constructivism, and Vygotsky for social constructivism. Besides these theories, we will be talking about the concept or theories based on connectivism. Connectivism is called as digital age learning theories. And it is talking of integration of informal and formal learning. At the same time, we will also be talking about different modes of teaching. We will be talking about instructivism, where the instructions, they take the main part, and knowledge is transferred from teacher to learner in the form of instructions. Whereas Kohler, he has talked about insight learning. Bandura talks about social learning, and Brunner talks about discovery learning. So these all are different modes through which learner may discover new insights or new learning. So in other words, we will be talking about all these theories, and we will be trying to understand that how teaching takes place at different levels.